And if you've never used queries before, I have a little crash course here for you. Again, this isn't specifically, to learn queries from scratch. Blackbaud has its own training for that. But what I'm going to do here is just give you some tips and tricks on how to best think about when you're writing queries, so you can really become a great person to be able to write these queries and adjust them and modify them and be able to kind of think on your own regarding the things you need to do with the queries. So before you write the query, before you even log into Altru, before any of that, I highly recommend you to start with your questions that you want to have answered with this query. So for us, it's really simple. The one we're going to be creating right now is going to be for time ticketed. More specifically, we want to send an email for every transaction over the phone, online, and in person. This is the query we're going to be writing for. So this includes everyone that has purchased a admission ticket online, over the phone, or in person. They're going to get this email. So that's like my question is, can we deliver an email for everyone that's purchased a general admission? And then actually you want to go through the process of actually creating the query with Altru. And then the last step here is we're actually going to be creating a specific query, which is going to be a sales order query with Altru. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look here. Again, this video here is not to teach you queries from scratch, but I'll just give you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the last couple of years that I've used Altru. So like I said before, take a few minutes and define the questions you want to have answered with your queries. Again, this doesn't apply for time ticketed. This applies for any query. Write down your question. So in our example is, give us everyone that has purchased a general admission ticket today. And that's essentially our question. And then think about the data you will need and how you'll like the data to be presented. Again, we already worked through that process because we worked out our email. So here's our email. We already typed out the information that we need. So we already worked through the process of what the data we need and how it's going to be presented. So we're already one step ahead. And then we want to work through any joins or exclusions on paper before writing queries. So what this means is if you're joining, two different sales orders, or if you're doing exclusions, things like that, you want to write them down on paper. For example, if you wanted to exclude any advanced sales, group sales, daily sales, again, just take a few minutes and write down your notes. That way when you go write the query, it's a lot easier and you have these things on top of mind. So kind of start with your questions. After you have your questions done, then it's actually time to get your hands dirty and actually write the queries with Altru. So you want to convert those ideas that you have on paper with actual queries in Altru. And just keep in mind, it's okay if you need to create multiple queries. You can always join them together with social good software. So don't think you have to just get everything right with one query. You can break it up into multiple queries. And then also another note here is, be patient as you find the fields you're looking for. Sometimes Altru has things nested like 4, 5, 6 levels deep, and it can get a little bit frustrating. So just be patient, work through the process, find the fields, and just be patient with yourself as you're doing this. And what you want to do is you want to usually start with one sales order and make sure your output matches the expected output. So instead of querying for everyone, query specifically for an email that has purchased a sales order, query for a specific record, and then once you feel pretty comfortable with that, then open up the query for everybody else. But typically I start with one row just to make sure our output is what we're expecting. And then finally, the last tip that I have here for you is test and then test some more. So if you're not sure you're getting the right data output, just test and test and test again until you're happy with the result.